So the area I wanted to do was the area of Bal Tosef, all right, which Ezra knows a little bit about because he overheard, actually joined us and overheard, and tried to participate. So Ezra's Ezra's only allowed to participate in something he doesn't know. Correct?
Where did he overhear this?
He happened to be at my house. All right. So, but I'm doing this right now with my Baal Batim in Buchman. They love it. So it happens to be very, very good, and I'm doing it with the Chashmonaim guys as well. It's a really, really good area, but it's different than what we've done in the past because it's an area that emerges throughout multiple areas in Shas, and you have to build a svara step by step by step by step by step. Okay. So what's Bal Tosef? If I ask you what's Bal Tosef, what's the Isser of Bal Tosef? Come on, David.
I've heard this 1,000 times.
The Torah says lo sosifu. That means
Don't add on.
don't add on. And then what does it say after that? By the way, lo sigru, which means what?
No subtract.
Don't subtract. Okay, so if I ask you for an example of lo sosifu, give me an example. What's just like the Baal Batim? Exactly what Baal Batim said. They said the same thing. They said, chumras is Bal Tosef. I said, not so fast.
No, I said like a chumrah.
Like a chumrah. No, that's what they said. They said, what about chumras? Chumras are Bal Tosef. That's what people go through. They are, but we'll get to that. We're not ready for chumras.
So can you explain the humor in that?
Because the modern Orthodox
We hate.
one mentioned Yom Ha'atzmaut, right? It's Yom Ha'atzmaut Bal Tosef. Okay, but one second. But if you think about it, you laugh. But one second. What about Purim and Hanukkah?
What's it called? I guess the Sanhedrin of some kind has power to do that.
But to do what?
To somehow create a holiday.
Well, let me ask you a question. Can Sanhedrin come along and say that tefillin is now 7 batim instead of 4? So how can they come along and say that there's a new mitzvah called Purim?
It's
Shavach.
Who cares? Why is it a matir?
I don't know.
What do you mean? What if the Rabbanan come along? What if Sanhedrin says? What if Sanhedrin say? You know what? It'd be a greater shevach to God to have 7 batim instead of 4.
It's something to do with almost being.
But Purim and Chanukah, it impacted everybody.
Say it again.
Purim and Chanukah impacted everybody.
Purim and Hanukkah. So what?
We were in peril.
Well, so what?
Halal.
Okay, so here's what you're doing. You're confusing two things. You're confusing. No one's questioning the wonders that took place on Purim and Hanukkah. Those are very important things. The question though is that why is that not over the Isser Bal Tosef?
Well, Mordechai was like.
You're just saying that. Oh, it's so great what happened. So what? It's you're right. It is really nice what happened. But the question is, what about the Isser Bal Tosef?
I knew what he was doing.
Oh, you have faith in Mordechai? Okay, fine. Okay, but let me. So that's one question.
Together, no?
What? If you violate a D'Rabbanan, okay? If you purposely violate a mitzvah D'Rabbanan, okay? What's the problem with that? You're over what?
Don't listen to your rabbi.
Lo sasor, right? You have to listen to what the rabbis say. So every time you violate a mitzvah D'Rabbanan, to some extent, there's a feature of a D'Oraisa attached to it. So therefore, again, if that's the case, why were they allowed to? We can't answer it yet, but why are they allowed to make up Purim and Hanukkah? Why is that making something up? Okay, you don't know?
They attached it to.
We're not ready yet. All right, so let's take a look. Take a look at the Rambam. Parak Beis Halacha Tes. This is Hilchos Mamrim. What's this? Hilchos Mamrim deals with the Zaken Mamre. What's the Zaken Mamre?
Well, maybe it's just precedence from the way the other Yom Tovs were created.
That was from God. What gives you? Remember,
What about?
you're saying that a precedent exists. You're right, but the question is why is that not adding onto the system? There's an isser to add onto the system. So why do you know what that is, sir?
Oh well, isn't it also something that like kind of distorts the original?
Okay.
Isn't that one of the qualifications?
Now you have more mitzvos than you began. Doesn't that change the system of mitzvos now? Before we had a nice solid taryag. Now we have more. All right. So wait. Just want to get the creative juices flowing. Oh, so what's a zaken mamre? Anyone know? Anyone?
What is the scan?
Anyone? As you know what? The zaken mamre comes along and says, from now on, tefillin is 5 batim. Okay, if he says that, okay, but one second, forget that. That's a separate issue. Okay.
Kill the guy. That's crazy.
In Parak Beis in Hilchos Mamrim, which you have in front of you, you have the last halacha. But before that, the Rambam spends all this time in Parak Beis discussing what Beis Din, what Sanhedrin is allowed to do. So what are they allowed to do? So they can go ahead. This is important. They can suspend a mitzvah d'oraisa, okay, whether it's a mitzvah saseh or lo saseh. They can say, you know what? It's too difficult right now for Bnei Israel to wear tzitzis. We're temporarily suspending the mitzvah tzitzis. They can do that. Okay? They can also come along and say, you know what? We think that we think that you should wear tzitzis at night as well. Okay, it doesn't matter the reason why. They say, you know what? It's not enough that you're doing it during the day. You want to do it at night as well. Beis Din has the right to do that as well. Okay, Beis Din can go ahead and create isurim, as we know. For instance, what does Beis Din do? They can say you cannot ride a horse on Shabbos. You can't ride a horse on Shabbos.
Right.
Okay, so if you listen to all those things that Beis Din has the right to do, what does it sound like?
It's like they're adding things on, but they're not.
Sounds like what?
They're adding things on, but they're not. They're extending.
But no, that's not what the Rambam says.
He's saying it is adding on.
Well, we'll see. But right now, it sounds like what are they doing? They're adding.
Things that I think are for the benefit of.
Well, hold on. Don't apply reasons yet. Let's see what the Rambam says. You want to read? Since you started saying that. You sure? Pinsky, you don't look too well.
Yeah, I don't feel too well.
So let David Sender read.
Okay.
I think it was okay.
Hello.
Hold the Yisra based in these are the last one that since based in decreed Yisurim, Davar Mutar and things which are permitted, Biyamod Yisur Daros, things that are forbidden for generations. We can't learn Lahati or Yisur Torah. There is those things that are Mutar and Asur in Torah. With Yisha Mahuzesh is a Hira Torah. And there's times when things that were decreed.
Let's get the translation here. So he says it is. It says since we saw beforehand that Beis Din has the power to do what? Beis Din go ahead and make up a gzera. They can forbid that which is permitted, right? And that isser can stand up forever. Okay, so they can go ahead and make up their own isser. They can take something that's 100% mutter and make it asur forever, right? And they can matir an isser for a temporary period of time. They can say, you know what? All along, you're not allowed to eat chazer. They have the right to matir that for a small period of time, right? So the question is like this: Mahu zeh she'isira Torah lo sosef alav lo sigar imenu. So what the heck is the isra in the Torah of Bal Tosef? This is exactly what they're doing. It sounds like they're doing Bal Tosef, right? Shelo lahosif al divrei Torah v'lo ligro mahen ligvo adar l'olam shu min Torah bein shebetorah ksah bein betorah shalpeh. So the problem is that it sounds like what Beis Din does is what? Sounds like they're adding to it. Now, think into what the Rambam's saying.
Situational.
But there's two directions the Rambam could have come in. We'll see his answer in a second. But there's two directions the Rambam could have gone with this question. He's not saying he could have said that there's an Isra Bal Tosef and then try to work Beis Din into it. He doesn't do that. He says
Is it normal to there for a week and no one else has
the Rambam's saying he's not saying that he's not trying to work Beis Din into around Bal Tosef. He's saying that Beis Din has the right to do these things. But the question is, why are they not over the Isra Bal Tosef? Listen to his answer. His answer is so profound. He says, Ketzad, Hare Kasav Torah, Lo Savasho Gedi Bachalevimo. What does it say in the Torah?
You can't cook a goat with a mother's milk.
Okay, you can't cook what's a Gedi? A kid. No, a kid. A kid goat, all right, in its mother's milk. If you just had that pasuk in the Torah, what's asur?
taking their kid in his mother's mouth.
Thank you. So all you would know is this specific type of animal, cooking it in its specific mother's milk, and that's it. That's all you would know. You wouldn't know anything past that point. And yet, what do we know?
Awesome.
But what do we know?
No change berries.
Well, we know but basar b'chalav includes what?
6 hours away.
Forget that. That's not deraisa. I mean deraisa, cooking together, but cooking what?
Meat and milk.
Meat and milk.
Any
Type of meat, right? Any type of meats, right?
Bread.
Any type of meat, cooking with milk's a problem. Doesn't matter if it's a mother's milk or not. Doesn't matter if it's a chay or a behema, right? Now, what system do we use to learn that?
The halachic system.
Okay, Torah Sheba'al Peh. Okay, so he says, Ketzad, Hare Kasav Torah Lo Savasha Gedi B'Chalev Imo Umi Pia Shmua, and we know through Torah Sheba'al Peh, you take that the translation for now. Lamdu Shezeh Kasav Asur Levasha V'Lechol Basar B'Chalav. So through Torah Sheba'al Peh, we learn out that all different types of animals, meaning not just limited to the Gedi, but other animals as well, are asur to eat with milk, to cook and eat with milk. Bein basar behema, bein basar chaya. Aval basar oaf. What's basar oaf?
Chicken.
All right. Mutter b'chalav minatara. So midaraisa, there's no problem whatsoever. The Torah, there's midaraisa, Torah sheb'chsav and Torah sheba'al peh. There's no notion whatsoever of a problem of eating chicken with milk. Doesn't exist. Right, that's the starting point for this. Okay, clear? Torah says los v'ashal g'di b'chalev imo. Okay, the chachamim darshan out Torah sheba'al peh. They expand the category here, but it never included what? Chicken. Chicken's out. Now let's say Beis Din im yavo Beis Din v'yatir basar chaya b'chalav harei goreya. Now here's a key case. V'im yasor basar ha'of v'yomer shehu b'chlal hagdi who asur min haTorah harei mosif. If Beis Din gets up, where do they over Bal Tosef? If they say the following: chicken is now asur
But
midoraisa.
right.
Okay, in other words, what they say is the category Gedi was this and included A, B, C.
Okay, so
Now what are we
they
doing?
say is they're Rabbanan.
Well, hold on. So what do they say? They go like this and they slide in oath. If they do that, they're over Bal Tosef.
But they said they
Well,
specifically it's not there. So.
You'll see what they say in a second. Well, sort of. You understand? Is that clear? Dylan, you understand that?
I mean, I haven't listened in the past 44
He says
seconds, but it
because-
sounds like chicken is outside the equation.
No. Okay, you missed the last 44 seconds. So it's like this. In other words, originally, everyone. The starting point is that the Torah tells you lo savasha gedi b'chalev imo. That's expanded to include midoraisa, chaya, behema, not just mother's milk, etc. Right? Okay, you can't have a cheeseburger today. Doesn't matter what kind of meat it is.
Right.
But it never included midoraisa chicken, ever. Right? There's no idea of chicken ever, and from the Torah being usher to eat with milk, midoraisa. Now, let's say Beis Din comes along and says, you know what? We're now assering chicken, and how are we making it usher? We're expanding the category of gedi, which is a category that contains this type of meat, this type of meat, this type of meat, and we're going to extend it to include chicken as well. If they do that, that's Bal Tosef, because they're adding on to the present Isser. Understand?
So, can we just use the classic word?
However, I'm sorry. Ava im amar what?
Get her to the boundary.
Well, hold on. Let's see what he says. The ava im amar basar of mutar min Torah. Now, what if they say the following? Chicken is mutar midoraisa. Okay. The anu ne'esar oso. This lashon is so important here, and we now are forbidding it. V'nodia la'am. What does that mean? V'nodia la'am.
I don't know.
Knowledge for the
Well,
to the
yeah, meaning
The
they
boundary.
teach. No, they teach the people. They make it known to the people.
That's not the-
Okay. Shehu gzera, that's a gzera.
Okay.
Shelo yavo min adavar churba. Okay, v'yomru. They don't want a something
So like
destructive.
everyone says,
Oh, it's
like,
like-
gzera, yeah.
They don't want a certain. We have to see what it is. They don't want something destructive to emerge. What would emerge if they didn't forbid eating chicken with milk? Listen to what he says. He says, what are they going to say? V'yomru basar ha'of mutter. We know chicken's mutter. Why? Mipnei shelo nisparish b'Torah. Okay, does the Torah ever tell you chicken is mutter or usher?
No,
Does it make any comments about chicken?
No.
What does the Torah tell you?
nothing.
No, what does the Torah tell you in general?
Birds and
Lo
birds.
So they're going to say chicken wasn't included. So 1 second. Kacha chaya mutaras. Sharei lo nisparsha. Right? But so a chaya should be mutter as well, because the Torah only says lo savashni b'chalavimo. V'yavo acher lomar af basar behema mutter chutz min ha'ez. Even basar behema should be mutter, because all the Torah tells you is,
Kid.
well, it says A's, which is a kid goat, but goat is the species. And maybe Ava Achar Lomar Af Basar is mutter b'chalav para. Maybe the goat is mutter with this type of milk, but not another type of milk. Okay? V'Ava Achar Lomar Af b'chalav Aish Eino Imo mutter. Shlo Nemar Elo Imo. Lefikach Nesar Kol Basar b'chalav Afilu Basar Of. Ein Zeh Mosef Elo Osa Siyag L'Torah. So why did they make chicken usher?
Basically to show you that it's not only.
Why they make, according to the Rambam, why do you make chicken usher? Why is, say it again?
So you wouldn't start.
In other words, what are they going to say? They're going to say, well, 1 second, we see all these things are usher, but yet chicken's mutter. Now they're going to say, 1 second, but the Torah never says the Torah. Why should chicken be? Torah doesn't mention anything about it, and they're going to start unraveling the shmua. They're going to work backwards. They're going to say, oh, well, if chicken's not a problem, then why is chai a problem? Why is behema a
So
problem?
why didn't their Rabbanan just make
Oh, so it's
chai
the
and
chicken
other things
seems-
problem and leave chicken out of it?
No, because what would happen? If you left chicken being mutter, what would happen? People would say, why is chicken mutter and all these other things are usher?
Alright, we don't see Rambam running this ad infinitum svara everywhere.
The Rambam, can Beis Din get up and say, you know what? We're now creating a new mitzvah.
No.
No. Can Beis Din come along and say, you know what? We're now changing that tefillin. It's let's take the Arba Minim. It used to be the Torah tells you kachdem lachem, and that means 4, right? We now think it's 5. Can they do that?
Right.
No, they can't do that either. Okay,
I'm not really the good person to ask on this, but
I'm asking you.
Rhetorical.
It's rhetorical. The Rabbi says, "Kol Eila Yisaruach Shekol Davar Shagazru Lav Asru L'Syag L'Mishmar Shel Torah." Anytime Chazal come along and create a geder, a fence, a siag, okay, and to guard the Torah, Ein Bo Mishum Mosif. It can never be Bal Tosef. Afilu Kavu L'Daros V'Asau Kishel Torah V'Samchu L'Mikra Kida Ashacham L'Kama Duchni Midrabanan. All right. So what is he saying? He's saying that. What's his argument on the Rambam? What's he arguing on the Rambam?
could never be
That-
Bal Tosef.
What?
You know what I mean? Bal Tosef.
By what?
Tosef,
The rule of the Chassidus.
By the Ravid. If Beis Din gets up and says the following: Oaf, we take the category Gedi. Oaf slides in, no problem whatsoever. No problem according to Ravid. Not a problem. It's only problem according to
You
Ravid.
just said that, but why?
That's we're gonna have to
Oh, I
answer.
thought he just said-
No, he just explains what the point that he's arguing with the Rambam on. The machlokas in the Rambam and the Ravid is that just factually is that when it comes to an isser that the Rabbana make up, is there such a thing as Bal Tosef or not? According to
Is it even possible?
is it even possible for Sanhedrin to ever be over Bal Tosef on isser?
With semantics, it wouldn't be Bal Tosef, it'd be the other thing, right? It'd be the Bal.
Sigra?
Yeah.
No, why?
Negative.
In what sense?
I thought you said the negative. I mean, I guess Bal Tosef is a very.
The Rabbi says, "V'lo simsa isser mosef ela b'mitzvahs aseh kigon lulav utfilim etzitzis sugiyotza mehen." Now, the other thing that's interesting about the Rambam is that the Rambam, okay, when is a yachid, when is an individual over Bal Tosef in general? Let's use the tefillin example, right?
Yeah, when he
What-
puts on an extra box.
An extra box in his tefillin, okay, that'd be over Bal
It can't be
Tosef.
any yachid, right? It can't be. I today.
Yes, if you made tefillin, and you made it with 5 boxes instead of 4. That's how you made it. You'd be over
I
Bal
get
Tosef.
killed.
No, you don't get killed. You're over Bal Tosef. You get malchus.
Okay.
Okay. Now, another example is if you sit in the sukkah, right, on Shmini Atzeres. That's also Bal Tosef. Okay. But let me ask you a question. Let's say I came along.
What doesn't?
Let's say I came along and I said, you know what? Well, just listen. I came along on my own. And I said, you know what? Today is Chag.
Bal Tosef.
Oh, it's circular. Chag David. Okay. Today's Chag David, and by today being Chag David, we're going to do.
We're going, I don't know.
What mitzvahs do you want to Chag David?
Keep Shabbos 2 days in a row.
Yeah, the Shabbos on Chagdov.
Oh, but supposedly you can do that, right? Till
Today.
Thursday, you can keep it-
That's not a good example. Make it your own mitzvahs.
Okay, sorry.
Today requires a ceremony where we stack 5 cups on top of each other.
Right.
And we say
Okay.
bracha on it.
And we say bracha on it. Well, forget that's bracha
If we just said
b'talad.
5 cups, not a problem, right?
No, every
No.
bracha that would originally be Shahako is now Mizonos.
No, but that's still not good.
Well, why is
It has to be something. Just what I said.
You light
It
candles.
has to be something made up.
In the,
Made up.
You light candles.
Okay, fine. Light candles. Fine. I'll accept that. I'll accept that. Even that's not gonna go. I'd rather have 5 cups.
You make a triangle box to sit in it in there.
Thank you. That's more like it.
Do what?
Make a triangle box.
Triangle sukkah.
A triangle box, not a sukkah. A triangle box to eat
Triangle
in.
box.
Okay.
Triangle box.
What?
You don't only
According to the Rambam, okay, if someone comes along on his own volition, okay, and makes up a new chag, is he over the isser of Bal Tosef? So it's evident from the Rambam that the Rambam holds that an individual cannot make up his own mitzvah. He can add to a present mitzvah. He can add on a 5th bias and be over isser Bal Tosef. He can add a 5th min. He could do other things, but he can't make up his own mitzvah and be over Bal Tosef. Okay, he can't. I can't say today is Chag David. But look what the Ramban says. The Ramban on where it says Lo Sosifu, he says Kagon Chamesh Parshios B'Tfilin, Chamisha Minim Belulav, Chamesh Shitzios. If I come along and I say, you know what, a garment has to have 5 knafim to be chayiv and tzitzis, or it's 5 minim for lulav, I'm over Bal Tosef. Ulufi daitia, the part that's underlined, afilu b'dolasos mitzvah v'nei atzma, Kagon she'asa chag b'chodesh, she'b'dami libo, ki ravam over b'lav. So let's say David comes along and says today is Chag David. According to Ramban, he's over Bal Tosef. So you have another machlokas. The Rambam holds only Beis Din and a Navi can ever be over the Yisra Bal Tosef insofar as making up a new mitzvah from scratch. But individual, not so much. But according to Ramban, doesn't matter if it's Beis Din, Navi, or an individual, any one of them is over the Yisra Bal Tosef if they make up their own mitzvah.
Really? That's really what the Rambam holds?
Yeah. The Rambam holds now.
Cool.
Intuitively, that's not crazy though, because what has he done?
It doesn't really mean anything.
Exactly. There's no meaning to it. The Ramban's was hard to understand.
Anything like.
Yeah, what have you done?
Usher.
Right, you've done stupidity. What have I done?
Shabbos day is not.
Why can't you say?
Amar
What'd you say, David?
Chizkiah. Okay? I bracketed it off for you. There's brackets. Amar Chizkiah. Minayin shekol hamosif goreya. Okay, how do we know that anyone, now come on, translate that for me. Anyone who is
There's adding on,
is also,
subtracting.
this is Dylan's Q4. The Isser, Chava's interpretation of the Isser from God was, we can't eat from it, and we can't touch it as well. Okay? Rashi, on the bracket, lo siguba, Kadosh Baruch Hu, lo his hiram al nagia, right? God never said to Adam and Chava not to touch it. Umitoch tosefes, and because of the addition, giru, they
Subtracted from the idea.
shedachaf hanachash es Chava, because that's exactly what the nachash's move was. He said to Chava, 1 second. You said you can't touch it, so he encouraged her to touch it, and once she touched it and she saw that nothing happened, that she figures she could eat it as well. Okay? So what is Kol HaMosef? This is one of the important principles. What is Kol HaMosef Gorea teaching you? What does Kol HaMosef Gorea mean? Kol HaMosef Gorea means, it doesn't mean that by adding, I'm subtracting from it. It means by adding, what do I no longer have?
The original
Sivoy. In other words, God said, don't eat from it. She said, oh, don't eat and don't touch. But once she added don't touch to it, what did it do to the original Sivoy? It's not, this is the key thing about Tosef. It's not that you're adding to something and now, okay, it was 1, now it's 2. It's that by adding to it, it makes the original thing no longer what it was. So, if I add a 5th bias by tefillin.
Instead of 1x plus 1y, it's put the x y, it's xy.
No, it's not even x. It's xy, which means it's no longer what? X.
It can't be separated.
It's no longer what? X. Bias tefillin. Is it that I now have 4 bottom plus a 5th bias and now it's puzzle? Or it's not tefillin. The 5th bias now means that what I have is not tefillin anymore. That's the isser of, that's Kol HaMosef Gorea. By adding, that's the key thing in Bal Tosef. If I add to something, what I'm doing ultimately is, I'm changing that which I have and now destroying the chavsa. It's no longer that thing anymore. Okay? That's the opening move you have to make in Bal Tosef. That by adding to something, by definition, I'm destroying that which I have. It's no longer the same thing anymore. It's something new. It's not that I have tefillin plus 1, right? It's that I don't have, this isn't tefillin anymore. This is something else. I was just asking a great question. I was just saying, at this point in time, it would sound like that all these extra things that are done by Chazal seem to be very Bal Tosef-ish. Don't they?
Right,
why they're not Gorea?
Most I think we can. I mean, I don't know how as it's told.
Oh, the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah Chav Ches Sameh Beis says the following. Okay, Minayin the Kohen she'ola leduchen shelo yomar the following. Ho'ol v'nasli Torah shos v'arachas Yisrael osa bracha achas mishali. Okay, so the Gemara's question is like this. The Gemara says, how do we know? How do we know the Kohen, okay, can't do the following? What does the Kohen do? The Kohen says, listen, God gave me, I'm a Kohen, the right to do what? To give over brachas to Klal Yisrael. So what am I going to do? I'm going to get up to Duchen, and what am I going to do?
What's Duchen?
To this business, and give over the brachas, okay? And give over the brachas, right? So the Kohen says to himself, the Kohen says to himself, listen, God gave me, right, the right, the reshus to go ahead and be Mevarach Yisrael. I'm going to add my own bracha. Now, he's not making up his own bracha. He's adding a pre-existing bracha from the Torah to the 3 brachas that he's chai to give over. What are the 3 brachas you give over? Yivarech Hashem, Yair, and Yisa. Okay, so what does he say? He says, Hashem Elokei Avosechem, Yosef Aleichem.
That's what it goes. Oh!
That's what he says. He says, you know what, I'm going to add one more. Okay?
That's how the inner brain goes, oh!
Right. Okay, but 1 second. So,
Quick.
and I say my own, right? 1 second. I say Yivarecha, Yair, and Yisa, and then afterwards what I do? I say Hashem Elokei Avosechem, Yosef Aleichem. Okay? What's strange about that? The Gemara says you overload Bal Tosef. What's strange about that, though? What's strange about the Gemara saying? I get up and I say, I do Yerecha, Yair, and Yisa. Everyone says Amen.
It's over. It's over.
How can he be Bal Tosef? There's the Gemara saying,
is it really over? And if it's over, how can you be Bal Tosef?
Right. Well, let's assume now it is over.
Fine,
okay. So how do you over Bal Tosef? What do you be Mosef to? I fulfill my chiyuv. I'm done. I did my chiyuv. My chiyuv is Dushi Bracha. So. Again, is there any way for me to add this 4th bracha to what I did? It's not a 4th bracha. What is it?
Bal Makeup Sif.
Now, when do we say that? A guy just says a bracha. A guy says a bracha.
Bal Mishigas.
He
Bal
can
Mishigas.
say when he wants to.
What?
He can say whenever he wants to.
Let's assume he can for now. He can. So, but the point is, it's not Bal Tosef, right? Okay. So the Gemara says, really, the Gemara says, Lo sival davar. The ha kevan de barachle averleis mane ukatani davar. So that's what we just said. This is Hakam Askina. So what must the case be? Below Siyam. So what did the guy do? He added a bracha in the middle of his 3 brachas. Now, as I said Yivarechacha, then I said Yosef Hashem, then I said Yair Nisa. But hold on, so the Gemara says Vahatanya Siyam, but the Brisa says Siyam. So maybe Siyam bracha achas. Maybe he finished 1 bracha. Vahatanya Siyam kol brachosa, but the Brisa says he finished all his brachas. Now comes the move. Shani Hacha, Dylan was alluding to this. Shani Hacha, it's different here. Why? Kevan de ilu misramiled sibura achrina hadam avarech kula yoma zmanayo. So there's one unique thing about Birkas Kohanim. This is this should not be a satisfying answer. The Gemara says, 1 second. Why is he over Bal Tosef? Because what could happen later on during the day? Let's say I'm in shul. I daven in Hashkama Minyan. Okay.
I go to another minyan.
And duchen again. So the opportunity to duchen again exists throughout the entire day. since I can always duchen again, therefore, have I ever actually, again, finished my mitzvah?
No.
But there's always
Which one?
Both of them.
What do you mean, both? Which one is he changing? Which one is he mosif to?
first one.
His whole lifetime?
I don't know. What's it? The one I'm
Maybe his whole
asking.
life.
Is it
Maybe
the
the
one?
inheritance of his whole family.
Is it the one he did, or it's the one he might do?
What he does is changed.
No,
One second,
due to the fact
Really?
that-
So is it? Wait. Let's play David's position out to its logical conclusion.
Yeah.
I took it in the morning, and I don't say a single word for 5 hours, and then I say Yosef Hashem Elokechem. What was it?
No,
You're telling me
no,
someone's attached to my previous one?
I thought you were saying if he did it in the middle of the rough.
No. I'm saying I finished my duchening.
Oh,
Now,
no. Obviously, I don't think either. Then
but then how many over Bal Tosef?
you're not.
Well, go ahead.
You are.
Go to the original.
No. Tosos, where Tosos starts, where he says the Im Tomar. Okay, it's in the middle of the line. All right. Let me know when you find it.
I found it.
The Im Tomar. You guys see it? The Aleph Taf.
Yeah, it's Rosh Hashanah.
Okay.
What the hell does that mean?
Right above the parentheses where there's Daf Tes Zayin Amabeis. Right above those parentheses. Tosos.
Okay.
Okay. The Im Tomar. Ha da Amar beparakama. Lama Sokin Marian Kishahin Yoshvin. Visokin Marian Kishahin Omdin. Kdela Arbeves Satan. So 1 second. We see this the Ha Alvar Mishum Bal Tosef. We see a funny thing. You have to ask the same question by the following situation. Toso says, "Oh, the Amar Perak Basra Shlosh Truos Nemer Rosh Hashanah Shnaim Divrei Torah Ba'achas Divrei Sofrim V'Yigol Amad Amar Beis Divrei Sofrim the Hashavar Mishum Bal Tosef." You have another case about Tosef. How many? There's a machlokas about how many tkiyos are midoraisa. 1, 2. But we know one thing for sure: the Rabbanan came along and fill in a third. In other words, either one's doraisa, 2 midorabanan, or 2 doraisa, 1 midorabanan. But 1 second, how could the Chachamim come along and add more shofar blasts? How could they do that?
I think just in case.
How can they do that?
Make sure they get the DRS now.
Well, who cares? What kind of thing is that? You're trying to justify. I'm saying they're over the Isser Bal Tosef at this point. They're over the Isser Bal Tosef. They can't do that. So Toso says, the hashda avar afagav dekvar avar v'yatzu mikol makom imis ramilei tzibur achrina hadav v'taka v'chashiz maneh. Oh, but he gives a simple answer. What's the first step you could take? Okay, come on. What's Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah is just like Birkas Kohanim because.
There's another. It's
Rosh Hashanah.
Going in for another tzibur.
Oh, so you can blow a shofar all day. I can blow a shofar multiple times on Rosh Hashanah.
Okay.
Okay, so at this point, what Tosos telling you, let's line up like the Kohanim case, okay? Just saying at this point that you could argue that the fact that the whole day is one, where I can be motzi other people in Tkiyas Shofar, that ability exists. So therefore, Chachamim were not over Bal Tosef by adding more Tkiyas, because the reality exists that the day is set up for Tkiyas Shofar, and I can be motzi people later on.
You said that already. Is that you learned?
Right, so there's a certain idea he's playing with.
You haven't fulfilled your key.
The mitzvah is divided up into 3 components. Okay, every mitzvah has 3 components to it. One is the Maisa mitzvah itself, the performance. Okay, the technical performance. Okay, blowing shofar. Okay, then in a sense branching off on each side. There's my obligation, my personal obligation to do the mitzvah. I must hear whatever blow shofar. And there's something else that's included in the mitzvah as well, which is that I can do what? Let's say Kriyas Megillah, okay?
You could read from other people.
I can be motzi other people. Right. So in every mitzvah has 3 components to it. The Maisa, okay? My personal obligation, okay? And my ability to fulfill other people's obligation through my performance of the mitzvah. So Tosfos is telling you...
Is bottom of all those?
Forget Kavanah. Kavanah, because there's a whole machlokas whether mitzvahs shrikas kavanas or not. I don't care about that. Forget intent. So therefore, what? So why am I saying that here? Because Tosfos will tell you is that forget Kohanim, just shofar. I don't know, but forget that.
Wait, how can we say that? Because that contradicts the very nature of the extra bracha.
Just deal with shofar. Why would I say this by shofar? Because what I would say is as follows: as long as the component of motzi exists, right? I can never be over Bal Tosef.
You can't motzi people for Kohanim. Kohanim are motzi people.
I don't get it.
No, they are. They are. Don't worry about Kohanim.
I don't need to.
Don't worry about. I'm just saying right now within shofar. What I can say is the following: the whole day is one. Where what can I do? I could blow shofar to be motzi other people, right? Other people who have not heard Tkiyas shofar. If I blew shofar already, I can go to the park, blow shofar again to have other people fulfill their chiyuv. So what does that tell you? It tells you that as long as one component of the 3 exists, I'm never over Bal Tosef. But once Rosh Hashanah is over, I'd be over Bal Tosef. You understand?
I'll say it differently.
Just a simple step.
I'll say it
step.
a little differently. The word you said, I'll say it.
That's like this. In other words, the reality, since I could be moti someone else, that's what gives the opening to be able to add more tekiyas. Okay? That's what gives the opening to add more tekiyas. Dafil lavzman, I came on the miskam l'shem mitzvah, or mishum Bal Tosef. Okay? The Mesig Rabba b'samach labor shlo b'zman b'ay kavana. So he gives a new answer. He says, V'yesh lamar, ki the precious verakama. De lo shayach, listen to what he says. De lo shayach Bal Tosef ba'asiyas ha-mitzvah shtei pa'amim. So he says, no, it's a different idea. Bal Tosef cannot exist at all, ever, by doing a mitzvah multiple times. Ubirkas kohanim, nami. Afilu v'archin kama pa'amim, let's see where echad. Even by Birkas Kohanim, if Kohanim decide they want to give the Birkas Kohanim over, the same tzibur, over and over again, now what's he removing now? Motzi. So you're removing Motzi from the equation. He's saying, forget what I said before about Motzi.
Meir said that was an issue, really.
Well, hold on. If I go ahead and I duchen 1,000 times for the same tzibur, who already yosei their mitzvah.
It's fine, yeah.
Okay? He said it's perfectly fine.
Roughly change what you're doing.
He says, Ein ze Bal Tosef, ela im kem mosef bracha achas, kegon Yosef Hashem aleichem kachem. O ki yotzeba. Okay? That's where it's a problem. If I add additional bracha. V'cheim natal lulav kama pa'amim b'yom, o'ochel b'pesach kama k'zesim of matzah. Okay? I'm sorry, I lost the spot. Kama zesim shel matzah. Ein ze Bal Tosef. Okay? V'chein b'hadas v'ara. Okay, 1 second. So let's deal with that first. So what is he saying? He's saying that you can never apply Bal Tosef to a situation where you do the mitzvah multiple times. Okay, so therefore, forget the idea of motzi. If you don't like it, you can ignore it anyway. It's just a havmina. He's saying that if I go ahead and pick up a lulav 1,000 times, if I go ahead and blow shofar 1,000 times, if I do birkas kohanim 1,000 times, whether or not there's someone to be motzi or not, it's irrelevant. We don't care about motzi.
That makes sense. I mean, why would Bal Tosef be on
Because the kiyum
Why not?
is fulfilled.
So therefore what?
Therefore, it's just Bal Mishigas.
No, but you're not about. Why aren't you about Tosef?
Doesn't Bal Tosef
Because it's fulfilled. It's the first time it's
That's what it does.
adding when you're doing two things.
Well, why not?
Because it's not X, Y, it's X plus Y.
What am I saying? If I?
X, Y, Z,
For 1
Z.
second. What if I pick up my lulav again? What am I saying? Am I doing it again? What am I saying?
The first one wasn't enough.
Maybe. But I'm sure they're saying one thing though. I'm saying it's more than one chiyuv.
If you say
Forget if I said a bracha or not. Who cares?
More than chiyuv doesn't mean adding.
What does Bal Tosef require in order to be over the Isser? It's not just that I'm picking up multiple times.
Which adding isn't promoted.
Exactly. Not that adding's not promoted, but as long as there's a reality to picking up lulav the entire day, right? That day is defined as that phenomenon. Am I changing the system by picking up multiple times? No, because the day is one that's set up. First, there has to be yes. In order for me to go over Bal Tosef, there has to be some way in the halachic system, right? In the yom, let's in the yom of lulav,
You're disconnected from others.
where the Tosefes can express itself.
You brought the Arabic.
No, where the addition can express itself. Also says, "V'chein b'hadas v'arava k'eshe b'lulav afilu nosin kam hadasim and kam haravas b'lulav ein ze Bal Tosef." Okay, afilu mad amar tzarich eged. Forget what tzarich eged means for now. Okay, elaim kein mosav min acher. So Tosef says the same logic that applies to this is critical. The same logic that applies to doing a ma'isa multiple times also should apply to adding the same min multiple times. So, for instance, according to Tosos, I could add 1,000 hadassim and 1,000 aravos to my lulav. Does that make sense?
No.
Why not?
That seems like Bal Tosef.
Why?
That's within the halachic mechanism.
Good. Okay, so now we have a problem because Tosos is saying that you got to follow step by step here. He's saying that I'll show you what he must be saying maybe tomorrow. But at this point, what's Tosos saying? Tosos is saying the same logic that applies to doing Maisa multiple times should also apply to adding numerous minim to your lulav. Why should that apply? Okay, but what move is he making?
Sorry,
He's saying this. He's saying the same logic that applies to doing my Maisa multiple times and not being over Bal Tosef should also apply to adding hadassim and aravos. 1 second, but what move is he making? I don't agree with either yet, but what move is he making? He's saying
on the specific Maisa.
What Maisa of what?
No, not the Maisa.
He's trying to say.
I don't know the word. The chefsa.
The chefsa. He's saying
100x equals xy.
He's saying the same logic that applies to the Maisa should also apply to what? A chefsa.
The same logic that applies to
a Maisa that I could do a Maisa multiple times on a certain day should apply to the chefsa also. That I can add in multiple minim, right? But there's going to be a big problem with that, though.
Because Chepsa is exactly the point of Bal Tosef.
He says, "Umi utema delefizeh im haya nosin kama chutim etzitzis v'kama parshos b'tfilin b'bayis echad lo ya over mishum Bal Tosef." You're going to tell me if a guy adds in. Now you got to be careful with the case here. Cases like this. Let's say a guy says, "I have 4 batim of tefillin," and each bayis says his own parsha, right? X, A, B, C, and D.
Can I think about why even Tosef would even think this?
Let me just get it all out, and you can think about it for tomorrow. Okay?
Oh.
So it's right. It's right 12:35. So hold on. So Tosfos is saying that you would think. Let's go step by step. The duplication of Maisa is not a problem because there's no mechanism for the Maisa to register as Bal Tosef. Okay? Then he says, one second. He says the same logic should apply to a chefsa, meaning lulav, meaning I can have extra minim. Really? But Tosfos says, but what about the case by tefillin? What do I do by tefillin? Forget the adding the 5th bias. A guy opens up his tefillin boxes. Okay, and he says, you know what? There's parsha A and box A. I'm going to add in 25 parshios of A in A. You understand? In other words, I add in multiple of the same parsha in one box that's filling.
It's different from the Lulav case. It's not a different box.
Same min.
No,
Same thing.
no.
Why? It's the exact same as the Lulav case. You know at this point from Tosfos that everyone has to agree.
It doesn't register by Lulav.
If I go ahead and add an extra parsha by tefillin, what am I doing to the tefillin?
It's not tefillin.
It's not tefillin anymore. But you would think that quantitative increase of something doesn't matter. Kamash Lon, it does. So, but once again, why doesn't it apply by lulav?
For some reason, it doesn't register.
Which means what? Lulav's not. Which means that lulav's not a what?
A chafsa?
Exactly.
What does that mean?
It means it's not a chafsa.
What the heck does that mean?
It means it's not a chafsa. That's what it means. It's not a chafsa.